Thank you very much to the organizers. Thanks, Richard, for having the courage to take on this very challenging subject of activism today, 2018, when so much is wrong with the status quo. Thanks to the people that have attended. I'm going to apologize up front that my message, my presentation today is not about a feel-good presentation. If you all leave here feeling angry and as pissed off as I am about gun violence, then I've achieved my objective. If you all leave here with a smile on your face feeling good, that means I have not achieved my objective. So I just want to make that clear. My name is Louis March. I'm the founder of the Zero Gun Violence Movement, which is a collaboration of over 40 different organizations, agencies, programs across the city of Toronto, working towards this ambitious objective, bold objective, of zero gun violence, not for some, but for all. My wife thinks I've lost it, thinking it's impossible to achieve zero gun violence in the city of Toronto. And she's made me know in various ways that I should maybe go back to the corporate world and do a 9-to-5 job, which between me and you, it's not going to happen. I'm just trying to convince her. We already have zero gun violence in the city of Toronto, so I don't know why it's so difficult trying to convince people that this is a viable objective. We have zero gun violence in certain parts of the city for certain people. So we already have it. So I'm not asking for the impossible. I'm not asking for utopia. I'm not asking for something that we don't have already. So why is it so difficult convincing people that we can have zero gun violence in the city when we already have it? My wife backs off when I talk to her on that level, and I'm saying I'm going to work towards closing that gap. We have a problem. I'm just going to give you some quick statistics. In 1991, we had 8 homicides due to gun violence in the city of Toronto. 8. In 2005, we had 52. I normally travel with a deck of cards, and I take the 52 cards out, and I said we lost 52 lives in 2005 to gun violence. If I'm really pissed off that day, I might flip the cards into the audience, but the last time I did it, I had to pick them back up, so I stopped doing that. But I just want to make a point that 52 people lost their lives to gun violence in 2005. In 2013, we lost 22 lives to gun violence because of coordinated efforts between various government levels and community organizations. So we saw a dramatic reduction from 52 down to 22. John Tory became the mayor in 2014, and from 2014 to 2018, the number now has more than doubled. Today we've got 47 lives lost to gun violence in the city of Toronto, and it looks as though we could surpass the 52 that we had in 2005. So I'm talking today about the elimination of gun violence. And I've got a major problem. In fact, we have a major problem. Of the 52 lives that we lost in 2005, if you look at the dynamics, the trajectory, the experience of what led to those violent incidents, more than half of them could have been prevented, could have been avoided, if we as a city, we as a society, we as a people did what we were supposed to do. And we didn't. We dropped the ball. We dropped the ball. Activism, from my point of view, is about changing the narrative about gun violence and what can we do? What can I do? What am I committed to do? When the violence doesn't affect you directly, but it does indirectly. We have a problem because most people are okay with the level of violence as long as it doesn't impact them. But today I'm going to make sure that you understand that it does affect you in many ways. Zero gun violence movement, first of all, we're not an organization. We are a movement. Similar to the civil rights movement in the United States, we don't have a president, we don't have a head office, we don't accept government funding, and we work at arm's length with a lot of people, including the police. All the people that work with us are volunteers, including myself. Money is not the issue with us in terms of funding what we do, because our work is from the streets. If you're going to meet anybody from Zero Gun Violence Movement, more than likely you're going to meet them in Tim Hortons, school basement, street corner, a library. That's where we work. Now, this is important because it gives us a different narrative about gun violence that is not being reported by the police, by the politicians, or by the media. So let me tell you what we're about. We have three basic principles, concepts, things that we work on. The first one is education and awareness. We don't trust the narratives of the police, the politicians, or media on gun violence. Their stories are very self-serving. They're very flavor of the month-ish, right? And it's never complete. What we're seeing on the street is totally different from what you're hearing. The gun violence today, young people are still running around telling me that it's easier for them to get a gun than it is to get a job. That's a reality in certain communities. There's a difference between living in Rosedale and living in Rexdale. In Rosedale, you don't have to worry about gun violence. In Rexdale, you better worry about it. You don't have to worry about gun violence if you live in High Park, but if you live in Regent Park, you better be worrying about it. Why do we accept that as the norm? And why aren't we challenging that? My mentor, Dudley Laws, who was responsible for the Black Action Defense Committee, activism, told me many times, Louis, nobody is born with a gun in their hand. Understand where that gun comes from, and you'll find a solution to gun violence. And in trying to understand where the gun comes from and the conditions, it's inevitable that gun violence will take place. I'm going to say something now, and I'm hoping that you guys take it in the way it was delivered. The gun violence that you're seeing in the city of Toronto right now, it has to happen. You cannot stop it. The conditions for the violence have been created from yesterday. And what you're seeing right now is the result, the product, the consequence of the decision that we made yesterday. You cannot stop it. The cat is not out of the bag. The tiger is out of the bag. Understand that if you want to solve this problem. I'm reminded every now and then that I need to be positive, so I'll try. The second piece is advocacy, activism. Over the last 6 months, we've been to Ottawa a couple times. We've been to the provincial government. We've met with municipal city councillors, and we've met with institutions. And we basically said, you guys need to recognize that the violence that is taking place, the characteristics has changed dramatically, and you have to treat it differently. Firstly, we met with the Toronto District School Board and the Board of Health and said, you have to understand that community violence is a social determinant of a person's ability, a child's ability to learn, and a child's ability to achieve maximum health and wellness. And they went from not agreeing to voting in favor unanimously. So now they have to incorporate that into their day-to-day operations. So advocacy is part of our work. Advocating against the way programs are set and funding is done. We did that with the federal government, and they came up with $328 million over 4 years to address gangs and guns, but most of that is going towards policing. So maybe we're not successful to the extent that we were, but that money is out there. The last piece, and I'm gonna have 1 minute now to wrap up, is about who do we engage? It's about an engagement strategy. We work with the victims of the crime, the mothers who have lost children to gun violence, but we also work with the people that are responsible for it, the ones that are trying to find a way out. We work with volunteers, we work with organizations, but when I sit down at the table, most of the people working with me have criminal records or are suffering from loss due to gun violence. Our engagement strategy is necessary to get that full, comprehensive picture of what's really going on, because these people can tell you what they need to do to get what got them into that mess and what they're doing to get out. Finally, I still haven't got to my positive piece yet, but in California, there's a policy called 3 strikes and you're out when you commit crime. You steal 3 chocolate bars on 3 different days, and the 3rd time they'll lock you up and throw the key away, okay? When you get that record. In Toronto, and that's what this work is about, it's 1 strike and you're out. We just don't call it. So our focus is on how do we get people to start thinking differently. If you get a criminal record in the city of Toronto, you will not have a second chance. The top 15 employers, including the city, the federal, and provincial governments, will not hire you if you have a criminal record. We engage those people that are responsible, have committed a crime, done their time, and want to make a difference, and there's no way out for them. And in the questions and answers, I'll try and expand more on it. That's what Zero Gun Violence Movement is about. My wife, on a positive note, has stood by me, so I give her credit for that. We still are trying to figure out, corporate world or this work, but this work has to be done. And everybody in this room has a responsibility and has the opportunity to make a difference. And we need your voice. We need help. The government will respond to you. They will respond to the public if we organize, mobilize, and agitate at the level that we need to. Thank you very much.